Hello, YouTube. Hi. I have decided, this is like so unscripted. This is so not planned. I didn't even write anything about what I want to say on here, but I just wanted to be really honest, open, and transparent about where it is that I am in life. And I just kind of got this guidance, this message. I hope you guys can hear me past the street noise, to share my journey. So these are going to be very casual videos that are not pre-planned, pre-recorded. I'm not really sure if I'm allowed to smoke on YouTube or not. But I'm gonna try to keep it cute for y'all. I'm not a smoker, really. I'm an anxiety smoker. And by that, and I don't even smoke cigarettes. I smoke Black & Mild's filter tip. My older brother smokes Black & Mild, and that's kind of how I got into smoking Black & Milds. But like, it really helps me to, it's not ideal, it's not healthy. And I really am a supplement queen. You know, I really am a Whole30 queen, like eating right, doing right. But every now and then, she leans into her vices, okay? She leans into her vices. But I just decided to be real as hell because I know you're the same way. If you're following me, you're real as hell, and I know you're the same. And I just kind of decided that I was going to be really, really honest, open, and transparent about where I am in life, because I think it might help somebody with my journey and what I'm going through. So I don't even know if I'm going to create covers to these videos. I'm being so for real. Like, whoever sees this is who sees this. I'm just trying to follow divine guidance. So some of you guys may have heard in my videos, if you've been following me for a while, that I want to move. I've been wanting to move for a very long time. I've been living in my apartment since 2017. And I love my apartment. I love old buildings. I really do. I actually don't like newer builds, truthfully. I like them because they're pretty, but I prefer older buildings with character, and older buildings have more space. And that's a big part of why I've been in my building for as long as I have, because I have a very spacious 1-bedroom apartment. The kitchen is its own room. I have a huge living room. I have a really big bedroom. As you guys have probably tried to imagine, I'm in my bedroom right now. I'm sitting on top of my radiator by my window. I have these big windows with natural light. As you can see, I just let it fly, and that's annoying. I don't even have a ring light on right now. Okay, this is just natural light. I love it. However, one thing about living in an old building, you have to deal with old building things. I don't know if if you live in any inner city area, you get it. I'm in New Jersey, so I'm in the outskirts of New York. In an old building, I can't even believe I'm talking about this, but I'm going to talk about this. You have to deal with infestations, unfortunately, from time to time. I think at one point, very early when I lived here, I had a bed bug infestation, but that was my fault. I brought in some furniture that wasn't even mine. I was dumpster diving, and I still have it. But the building came and did my whole apartment to get rid of the bed bugs. But anyway, for the past 2 years, the mice infestation has been wild. And again, I've been living in this building for 7 years. Hold on. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 20, yeah. It would be 7 years in October. I'm here a long time. And at the time, I'm just going to be so transparent. I'm just going to be very transparent with y'all. I don't want to do this, but I feel like God is trying to tell me to be transparent. So when I moved here, I was an HR assistant, and I was making $52.5, I think, $52,500 a month. I think that's what I made. I don't think I was quite at 55. Now, At the time I was 24. And that's not a bad salary for a 24-year-old, right? And I was just barely, able to afford this apartment. And over time, I furnished it, and now I'm outgrowing the apartment. Now I have too much stuff everywhere. And Sasha just came to join, and she's on my couch right now in my bed. See, I have a spacious enough bedroom in my apartment that I have my queen size bed and a couch, and it's lovely. But anyway, so when I moved into this apartment, there was it was just changing property management, and they were okay, but apparently the super was embezzling money or something. I'm not sure how that was happening, but they had some drama. And I live in a building where if in the tri-state, I just saw 5:55 on the clock. In the tri-state, a lot of Jewish people own the real estate. And y'all, it's my Monday, so y'all just let me smoke, let me drink, okay? Let me just relax. And I just finished a cleanse, so in 2021, I think it was 2021. They changed property management to a different company. And I don't want to say they've been all terrible. They haven't, but because they really were working with me when I was in a transition. I had really hustled, and I had increased my salary basically 50%. Do the math. And I got to a point where I was making more money than I had ever made in my life, and I wasn't even 30 yet. And I was so miserable. I was so depressed. I was so sad after the pandemic, and I had broken up with my longtime boyfriend, and we were on track to being engaged. I'm being so for real. Let's blame it on the full moon, but I just feel like I need to share my story for whoever this might help. I just feel like God is calling me to share my journey, and I'm sharing my journey not because I want sympathy, because I have a really great support system, but because I really want y'all to see the blessings that I don't even know are about to unfold in my life. And I genuinely, as a Christian spiritualist, I genuinely want to be able to say it was God, okay? I really do. And that's why I feel like I'm being called to share my journey, okay? So in 2020, I was going through such a major transition. I decided to break up with my boyfriend. I decided to quit my job, and I was going to pursue my acting career. And because of COVID, that really took a whole turn, because I was not first in line to get vaccinated. And even though I kind of had some representation, me not being vaccinated really affected the work I was getting. And I don't know if anybody else is in the acting industry, but you put in so much effort and time and energy into, auditioning. And then when you don't get it, it's literally a time, you can't, as someone who was supporting themselves, I did not feel like I could continue the time investment of pursuing an acting career with such little return, truthfully. There were other things that happened, but maybe I'll share those stories for another day. But I just got to the point where once I finally understood, and I have some small successes, feel free to go to my Instagram and see some of the things I've been able to do. I'm blessed with my acting career, but I got to a point where I was like, now that I really know what to do, I really hope y'all can hear me. Now that I really know what to do, I just felt like I don't have the energy to pursue this industry anymore. And I decided to continue growing Lightworker Wit, and that has become a major blessing in my life, not only for me, but for the people I've been able to serve, which is why I have the tattoo of serve on my wrist. Just serve others. I think it's really more upside down. So when you start, anyway. So the past 2 years have been really hard with this new property management, because they are not the best at their communication, and the mice infestation has gotten really bad. And I'm a type of person where I can deal with mice, but I can't deal with roaches. And there was a roach infestation about a year ago, and I almost lost my life because the apartment across the street, I felt so bad. It was this couple, and they had like a little toddler, and they were so nice all the time. And once they moved out, none of us knew, but you could see literally the roaches coming out from under their door. It was wild. And even the apartment below me, like, she was freaking out because they were coming down in her apartment, and it was bad. So I was like, I can't. It didn't even get that bad. I remember, because when you have a roach infestation, you've got to handle it before it gets too out of control. So I remember bombing my apartment at least twice, and they came and treated the apartment. So I don't deal with roach issues. But the mice issue is still really hard to solve for, because you can't kill a mice infestation with one apartment. So for the past 2 years, my close family and friends have really understood the struggle I have. I mean, I have humane mice traps. Like, I've literally lost count, and I'm not trying to gross anybody out. I've literally lost count of the amount of mice that I've caught in this apartment, and it's just gotten so nerve-wracking. And I'm just sharing this because it's like, I don't want to be one of those creators, because I'm just believing and manifesting for a glow up for myself, right? I know the life that I want to live, and I don't want to be one of those creators that, like, get to the point where I'm like, tour my new house with me, and like, y'all don't understand where I came from. Like, y'all don't understand the trenches. So for the past 2 years, I've really been struggling with this. I think I finally, the other day, got to, like, the main entry point, I think, at which they were coming in my kitchen, and I tried to seal it up, but it can't be the only one, because they're still getting in somehow. And I'm not, full transparency, I just saw 12/12. I'm not the cleanest girl on earth. I'm messy, but one thing about me is it won't be messy for long. So I'm a type of person where I clean weekly, especially as a content creator and as a business owner. I'm not cleaning this apartment every day. I'm really not. As someone who is managing this all by herself, running a business, social media, clients, I've got a dog, and then managing a house, laundry, groceries, cleaning. It is a lot on one person, and I'm not trying to make this event session. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm sharing this because I know other people can relate, especially women who are single moms. Like, I couldn't imagine. I literally couldn't imagine. Anyway, I'm battling a mice infestation on top of, like, I was back home, for some of you guys who might not know. And when I say home, I mean Georgia, looking after my parents from February to early April, because my mom needed knee surgery. So I quit. Hold on, let me backtrack a little bit. I have been working for myself from 2021, 2022. In 2023, I decided I was going to go back to work. I went back to work because I wanted to move. That was the main goal. But in order to move, just trying to be practical, right, I decided, let me go ahead and try to pay my debt down, because my credit was really good in 2020. But when you work for yourself, you have to make some sacrifices. And so my credit took some hits. So I said, you know what? I've got a new job. I didn't like the job. That's the story for another day. I was paid very well, but I didn't like the job. But I'm still very grateful for it. And it was hard. It was hard for a lot of different reasons. And now going from, working for myself to now going back to commuting into the city 5 days a week, going back to work for somebody else after you've worked for yourself for 2 years is not nothing. It's really not nothing, but I was really trying my best. And I got to a point where I was so over it. I had gained so much weight from cortisol stress. And also my social media took a back burner, and I was still doing events, but I wasn't able to keep up with my social media. I just felt like I wasn't happy. I didn't have quality romantic relationships either. It was just not good. So finally I was like, you know what? I'm over this. I don't like the level of stress in my life. I'm going to quit. And I'm going to go back home and go look up for my parents, because when I went back home for the holidays, I didn't like the state that my parents were in. I was like, and I'm a Cancer moon, Cancer Venus. So another reason why I need to move is because the street is so busy. So busy. It's hard to record content sometimes. So I said, you know what, forget this. I'm going to quit. I'm going to go home to Georgia, look after my parents for a little bit, and I'll find a remote job. That was a joke, because it was incredibly difficult for me to find work. And I don't want to say I'm like the best qualified person ever, but I basically had a career in HR and operations, and I had enough experience to be somebody's something. I wasn't finding work, and it was really hard. On top of that, my parents' Wi-Fi situation was problematic. So it was very hard to try to care after them and also still earning income. And I didn't have anybody renting out my apartment. Like, everything was still in this apartment. So I was still trying to make sure I kept up to date on the bills in my apartment. Y'all, it was just a lot. Okay. It was probably one of the most difficult seasons I had been in my life. And that's when I decided, you just got to get to a point sometimes where you're like, you have to recognize the path of least resistance. And I've talked about this a little bit. I was like, you know what? I'm not getting works. For whatever reason, Spirit is blocking this. God is blocking this. So let me just focus back on my social media. And when I did, that's when I had my video pop off 600,000 views. And then the next video was 2.3 million views. And I was like, oh, this is where I need to be focusing my energy. So I decided to just double down on my business and keep growing my social media and let that grow. And of course, when your content does well, that inspires bookings. So it was really good. But of course, social media is volatile. So I can't guarantee that I can replicate that every month. I can't guarantee the algorithm. If anybody could guarantee, you know what works, but if anybody could truly like predict the algorithm, everybody would be rich. You know what I mean? Anyway, fast forward to April, I get back home. Now I've got to catch up my bills that are behind, and I'm still working for myself, still wasn't able to find a job. And it was just rough, very rough. And still, and I got home and I'm underneath of it right now. There's a leak. Big ass hole in my ceiling. I live on the top floor of my building from water damage. And now my apartment has had water damage for years. That's not new. This is new. You know what these motherfuckers told me? They told me they can't fix the hole because they got to fix the roof. And I'm like, well, when are you finna fix the roof? So I've been dealing with that. And I'm just at a point where I'm like, y'all about to play around. And now today, this is the second time this month, Mercury retrograde, and people like to not like look into astrology and everything, but I'm like, it matters, because today is the second time this month during this retrograde that the hot water doesn't work in my building. You try and tell me that this isn't connected, that technology isn't affected and all of that. So I'm like, so I'm trying to give grace because I understand planetarily the effects. But at the same time, I'm like, I no longer want to live in a building where I'm not sure if I'm going to have hot water or not that when I wake up. On top of catching mice, on top of hoping I don't have a leak from a ceiling. So I'm just sharing that to say, like, you know, y'all see my content, y'all see me being very positive, y'all see me being very happy, and that is who I am at my core. But at the same time, this is what's happening behind the scenes, on top of me being a single woman who has been independenting for a very long time. And I'm just at the point where I'm like, I'm exhausted. I'm literally so fucking exhausted. I hope I'm not inspiring anybody to smoke. If you're not a smoker, please don't let me inspire you to smoke. This is just me trying to keep myself cool, calm, and collected, okay? This is just me trying to keep myself from having a breakdown, all right? Okay. And I'm just so over it. And so I'm at a place where, like, I have to give my building, my family has been knowing what I've been going through for years. This is not the first time I dealt with a leak. For a few years ago, I stopped paying rent because there was a major leak, a huge hole in the hallway in front of the elevator, to the point where like tar was dripping down. And I'm like, I'm not paying you rent. This is not a crack house. And somehow that got resolved. And at the time I had legal insurance, so I was able to have like a representative to kind of help me fight that, but I no longer have that. So I'm just at that point where like it's not worth trying to fight. You know what I mean? Like it's not worth trying to fight my way out of this, because I want to elevate beyond where I am. I've been here for 7 years. You know what I mean? And dealing with issues time after time. And I feel bad because my neighborhood is evolving, it's improving, they're really pouring a lot of money into it, but they're not pouring money into this building. And I feel like energetically, this is just me personally, I feel like energetically I am unable to evolve and ascend to a higher level of income because of where I live. I feel like my living conditions keep me stuck in a place from being able to believe that more is possible for me. Because I think it's very hard. I told myself I was gonna be. I said I would never be that person that like cries on YouTube, but here I am. Because I want to be real with you, and I just want to encourage somebody else who might be going through the same thing or can relate. I think it's very hard when you are a spiritual girly, when you're trying to manifest and believe in more and keep yourself in a high vibration, and yet you wake up and you know, oh shoot, I caught a mouse. Let me make sure I let. Also, I will definitely give you guys the links to humane traps if you guys are struggling with this. I didn't buy humane traps because I want to be a good humanitarian. I started buying humane traps because I noticed the mice were getting out of the sticky traps. That's how ghetto these mice are. They were at a point, like this happened a couple of weeks ago. I saw one in my kitchen, so I put a sticky trap where I saw it. I woke up the next day, the sticky trap was moving. I could tell the mouse had gotten out of it. So I started using the humane traps so they wouldn't be able to get out of the trap. I mean, and it's to the point, like the exterminator comes, but every time the exterminator comes, they're just like, well, you're like the one of few apartments I can get into, and the super doesn't accompany the exterminator to get into the apartments that they can't get into. So it's like, you guys understand. You can't fight an infestation with 3 apartments. You just can't do it. So I bought boxes about a month ago. I bought moving boxes because my mom was just like, my mom is a Pisces, for guys who don't know. My parents are water signs. My mom is a Cancer. My mom is a Pisces. My dad is a Cancer. So I have water sign parents. So I'm thankfully always emotionally supported. There's other problems there, but anyway. At least they always hold space for me emotionally. And my mom was like, Whitney, you need to just move in faith, and you need to just get some boxes and start moving in the expectancy. And this is part of why I want to share this, because my journey with my spirituality hasn't been linear. And I know a lot of people kind of talk about this, but they don't talk about this, of like, there aren't people who are like, you know, super religious all the time. And my mom was basically like, you need to get back into a church, and you need to start tithing again, da 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 da. So she was right. I was like, you're right. I'm really not sure what's allowed on YouTube, so I'm trying to just be respectful and not smoke and drink on camera. So back in like 2018 and 2019, me and my ex, it was really important to me at that time because I was going to church heavily. I told him, I was like, I want to be going to church. It's important for us to find a church home. And we did. But then once the pandemic happened, and even before that, my ex knew. I was like, by the way, like, I'm into like astrology and crystals and all that. Like, I'm kind of like into law of attraction and manifestation. He knew that. But also church was very important to me. So then 2020 happened and they started doing online church, but I don't think they did online church very well. So I started watching Michael Todd instead during the pandemic because they do online church a lot better. And then, and at this time during 2020 is when I started to learn how to teach myself tarot. And it was good for me at that time to just try to unpack and uncover a lot of things for myself. But I was starting to kind of blur the lines between my spirituality and my faith. So I kind of just stepped away from church a little bit. More specifically because I remember, I forget what he calls it, but that if anybody watches Transformation Church, when Michael Todd had that situation, the Spitgate, I call it Spitgate. I forget what he calls it. But it's basically the infamous moment where he spit on his hand and he put it on his congregant, which I later recently found out was actually his brother. And then like the whole internet blew up because it was so disgusting because it was in the middle of a global pandemic and people who didn't go to that church often don't know that that was his brother and don't know that that was a demonstration that he had done many times before. I think the timing and the messaging was just off. And so when I saw him spit in his hand and put it on his brother, I was like, I can't watch church. It unfortunately, watching that sermon turned me off to church, despite me having been someone who had consistently gone for a long time and was very involved in church. Like I had my pastor's phone number. Like that's how involved I was in my old church, my local church. But in between, delving more into my new age spirituality practices, I had detached from church and all of that. So it's only now recently that I actually started watching Transformation Church again, because I really do still like the way he presents his messages. And I'm also trying to be mindful of, like, we're all human. We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. And he's actually talked about that situation in particular publicly many times. So I'm just in a point right now. Since mid-July, ever since I had that conversation with my mom, I went and I got moving boxes. I haven't packed a single box yet, but I'm going to. I think I'm still kind of leery about packing. I need to work on that. But I'm also just like, where am I going to put these moving boxes? Because I'm literally outgrowing my apartment. So I decided, you know what? Every money that I get, any dollar that hits my account, it happened after I started watching his series. I finished his series called Fresh Fruit, which I highly recommend if anybody is also kind of like a Christian-Spiritualist. I watched that series and I said, you know what, I'm going to start tithing again and let's see what happens. What do I have to lose? Because, guys, I've been through so much. I've been through so much from 2020 to now. I don't have anything to lose. I've been through so much emotionally, mentally, physically. And that's what people talk about, right? Like sometimes God will just bring you to a point where you have no choice but to call on God. And that's just like, for sure, like last month where I was like, I don't have anything else. Like law of attraction is really cute and it is very important to have control over your thoughts and manifest your ideal reality and visualize and affirmations and all of those things. But you have to believe in a higher power. You really do, because there are just certain things that you just can't do on your own, no matter how hard you believe, no matter how hard you manifest. And I hate to put that in quotes because I do believe in manifestation. I really do. But for me, it's spirituality and God. And I believe in all religions. I don't believe in any particular religion is wrong. It just so happens that Christianity is my foundation. And I am baptized. And I do pray in tongues. And I really don't care, like, if there's anybody here, even if you're fixing your thumbs right now to go to the comments and say some bullshit about how I can't live a double life or that I'm doing the devil's work. First of all, what you need to know about me is I'm a clap back. So do so at your own risk. Number one. Do so at your own risk, because I read all my comments and I will clap back. So before you start to come at me and judge me about how I'm living my life, I don't know what you do in the comforts of your home. Just because you can see the way I live my life and you feel empowered to comment on it doesn't give you the right to say whatever the fuck you want, because I will come for you. So don't even try to, you don't even need to be, don't even come in my comments at all talking about you need to be practicing this and da, because I know the people I've saved and I've healed and I've hoped and I've prayed for personally. So please don't come in my comments talking about how I live my life, because you will fucking regret it. I promise you. I promise you. And I don't feel bad about that shit at all. Because I stand in my authenticity and I stand in my truth. I'm not a person who is, and that's why I think a lot of clients come to me, because I never judge anybody. I'm not that old and I'm not that young, but I've lived so much life that I really truly can meet anybody where they're at. I really can. I really can. With absolute zero judgment. With absolute zero judgment. I don't think there's ever been a client that's come to me and I was like, ooh. I've had clients and I was like, okay, girl, let's course correct. Definitely have had those clients, but never, ever, ever judging. Never. So please don't come to my channel and my YouTube and try to judge me. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Nobody's perfect. So please save your fucking evangelist, fucking crusader bullshit for somebody else's YouTube, okay? Because I know who I am and I know my relationship with God. So respectfully, not here. So with that being said, I've started tithing again consistently. Every money, all of my private bookings, all of the money I get from TikTok, because I'm still praying on the YouTube to be monetized. I'm only about 600 watch hours away at the time that I'm recording this. It may be a little under 700 watch hours away from my YouTube being monetized. I just wanted to make this because I don't know how it's gonna happen. I'm at a place, guys, where I was interviewed. I had a great interview for a job I thought I really wanted. I did want it, and they passed me up because they told me I was too formal, which I was like, what? I was like, I don't even understand Gen Z. So now I'm too formal for an interview process. Like, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. What? And it almost just made me it almost reaffirmed this is not the path I'm supposed to follow. If I have a full-time job next month, then so be it, whatever God wants to do in my life. But it personally does not feel right to me to have a full-time job at this time. We'll see what happens. I'm open. My cousin sent me a job yesterday that I actually might be qualified for, and I applied, but I'm not scouring Indeed and LinkedIn like I used to, because I don't think that's good for my emotional health. I have so much rejection trauma that when I get notification after notification, oh, we're moving in a different direction, unfortunately we're not moving forward with the application, on top of knowing how good of a worker I am and how qualified I am, I can't handle it. And then when I think of the good work that I'm doing for you guys, I'm like, I don't know, I don't feel like maybe this is my path. I don't think I'm supposed to go back to work. And then I get anxious about it because I'm like, yes, I could go back to work. Yes, I could go back to work, and yes, I could earn the salary that I need to make in order to make the moves that I need to make. That is very practical, right? And this is why I often marry the practical with the metaphysical, because sometimes the practical doesn't always make the best sense for you emotionally and energetically. Like I could go, and also too, let me just talk about this. Once you start making a certain amount of money, once you start moving into six figures, you have a different level of responsibility from an employer. It's yeah, it's 9 to 5, but not really. You are taking work home. You are working after hours. You are working after dinner some nights. And you are emotionally drained and mentally drained. And I just get so nervous. Like I have so much momentum with what I'm building with you guys that like, I'm like, oof. Yes, I know going back to work will provide me with the security that I need at this point in time. But what does that mean for my business and the work that I've been putting in? And I'm just rambling because I'm just letting you guys know where I'm at. I'm just letting you guys know where I'm at. I'm just being honest, open, and transparent. So bringing me back to where I am, y'all, I need to move. And at this point in time, August 19th is a full moon in Aquarius. I have no idea how that's going to happen. I have no idea how the money is going to come. And believe me, I have tried to look into it with my cards. I've tried. I personally don't think that it is through a full-time job. I do feel that it is continuing doing the work that I have been doing and the business that I have been building through Lightworker Wit, through providing readings and through my gifts and my talents here with you guys. But I don't know for sure. I don't know if there's a perfect, full-time job for me somewhere. But what I'm sharing is, this is where I am. This is very vulnerable for me. And I have a date. I have a date of November 1st. I want to be moving by November 1st. I don't know where I'm going. And I'm really anxious because I need to tell my property management by September 1st that I need to alert them, because I need to give them 60 days. So I need to tell them, hey, I'm moving. And it is wild. It is absolutely wild to tell your property management, hey, I'm moving, but then have no idea where you're going. Don't have the first amount of savings. Because right now, when you're an entrepreneur, and I would love to be able to tell you guys, that I am, doing everything by the book, and that I've got an emergency fund, because I know how to operate when I have the actual income. I know how to operate. But when that varies from what you actually have, at this time, I'm only able to sustain the life that I've created for myself. I'm not able to effectively save for more. And that's why I went back to work. But then I went back to work and then I was fucking miserable. So it's just like, all right, God, like, what are we doing? And then now I can't get another job. So it's just like, God, and I don't know. And that's why I just kind of felt like today I was watching a sermon. I was watching an old video. And I feel like God was like, you know what, you need to share your story. And you need to share your story in faith so that when I put a blessing on your life, you will only be able to tell your followers it's through me. And that's genuinely where I am. Like, for sure. Like, I was going through old journals of mine from like 2018. Like, my faith was so strong. Like, my faith was out of control. I was and my life was night and day from where it is now. I've changed a lot since then, but my life technically was better. I had a healthy relationship. I had a healthy job. I had a forward momentum in my life. And I know other people who are close to me are like, Whitney, like, you still got a lot going for yourself. And I'm like, I guess, but it doesn't always feel like that. So I'm sharing this because I want it documented that, like, come November, my life has a 180, complete 180, and it's only because of God. That's the message I feel like I've been given to share, because I feel like a lot of people move away. And I know this because I talk to every single one of you, all of my clients. If any of you guys are existing clients, you know the first thing I ask you is, what is your religious background? And the first thing I do is, can I pray? Depending on what your answer is, I said, I am opening this session with prayer. All of my clients know that. And I think what has happened is just today's time, the way church operates, the church does not operate in a way that makes people feel safe to come as they are. In my personal opinion, I think, unfortunately, a lot of church people have casted so much judgment and have operated in such a way that regular people don't feel safe coming to church because they don't feel comfortable being their authentic selves and way they are and what they're battling with and what they're struggling with. So I just am using my platform in a way that if I am the vessel that gets you back to church, so be it. So be it. Because I don't want you living this life walking alone, walking without Christ. And I've been doing it the past couple years. Why am I so emotional? It's been hard. It's been really hard. It's been hard. That's why I'm so emotional. It's been hard as somebody who's trying to grow a business, doing a lot by themselves, is hyper independent, is very far away from their immediate family, doesn't have the support of a partner. It's hard. It's really hard. There's sometimes I'm just like, God, it would just be so much better if I had a partner to just kind of like split things with, split groceries with, and just somebody to just to just do the house things, just fucking patch up the goddamn mouse hole. But that's on me too. It's hard. Life is just hard, and I feel like for me, the past 2-3 years I've been doing it without God, and I'm just trying to get back. I'm just trying to get back to where I was, even with the work that I do, because I don't disagree with the work that I do. I think the work that I do is extremely helpful. It's not this or that to me. It's not God or else. It's God and people just don't get that. It's hard to explain that to people who don't get it. But I'm posting this video because I really want to be able to say in November that it was God and nobody else. I 100% expect my life to be completely different in November. I do. I'm going to be in a new apartment. I really truthfully want to be in a townhouse, but I think I saw a complex that I feel like I'm being called to, and I don't know if it's going to work out, but so much of my life is just up in the air right now. But I know that I can't continue living like this. I can't. It's not how I was meant to live. Like, I respect all of God's creatures, mice and roaches and all, but I'm not meant to live like this. No. So I have a place in mind. I'm gonna go tour a building tomorrow. I don't have any money for, hold on, our words are powerful. I do not yet know how it will be possible for me to prove the income I need to have this apartment. I do not yet have the security deposit, okay? I do not yet have the money to move and hire movers, because at this point I have so much crap, I will need to hire movers. I will not be able to bamboozle my friends with pizza and beer. I have too much stuff at this point. So yeah, this is extremely vulnerable for me, but this is what I feel I'm being called to share. And honestly, honest to God, if I'm still here in December, I really still pray that this video helps somebody. I really don't know if I'm going to be able to move. I really don't. But in faith, I got to be out of here in November. And I'm going to move forward with that, because I don't know how it's all going to come together. But sometimes you just have to move in faith. You just have to move in this will be. And I'm just going to start packing. And I just want to move myself to the vibration of expectancy, the law of expectancy, the law of assumption. And just continue to tithe my monies. And tithing, I think it's really important for you guys to know people who don't tithe. I'm at a place now with my faith where, like, I'm not tithing just because I expect that money back. I'm tithing for the sake of my relationships. I'm tithing for the sake of my mental health. I'm tithing for the sake of my business. I'm not just tithing just because, let me just put a little money in so I can get some money out. That's not. There's so many. I'm really genuinely trying to build a full, rich life for myself. And when I say rich, I don't mean monetarily. I mean rich in relationships, rich in pleasures, rich in abundance, rich in friendships, rich in opportunities. I'm trying to really build a rich life for myself, and I just spent too long trying to do it without God, and these past couple years, and I'm really just trying to bridge the gap and really live out my true Christian-Spiritualist life. And that's where I am. That's where I am for sure. So I'm going to continue this series. I don't know how often I'm going to do it. Maybe as often as I can, depending on my workload. But I'll be recording videos of me packing and giving you guys status updates, maybe, if I have any. And just trying to encourage you guys with whatever it is that I'm going through. And we'll see. I just pray that this is my biggest testimony yet. Because I have a few testimonies. God did this for me a couple years ago. There was a few years ago in 2015 where I had to be out of an apartment that I was staying in, and I had no idea where I was going to go. I had money. I had a job and I had money. But even still, I only had a limited amount of money, and I had no idea where I was going to go because my budget was so limited. And I remember in 2015, I was in the apartment, I was praying in tongues, and I was just like, God, please work something out. And I finally found a room in Washington Heights, and I rented a room for 2 years. And ironically, the same reason I moved out of that apartment was mice, because I'm like, I can't fight a mice infestation in one room. I literally got a cabinet installed into the room. It was ridiculous. And I was like, okay, I gotta go. I can't. I just pray that wherever I move next, that I no longer have to deal with mice. That is my number one. And I know people might be like, maybe it's you. And I'm like, I'm messy, but I'm not dirty. I'm messy, but I'm not dirty. And I think there's a difference, okay? Let me put it like this. I've been living here for 7 years. For 7 years, I know the difference. So that's where I am, guys. I love you so much. I hope somebody felt validated through watching this, and that it inspires somebody to watch a sermon, to go volunteer at their local whatever, and just get back into God. It's for me, again, it's spirituality and God. It's not either or for me. But I think what's happened for our society, because I'm obviously so deep in New Age spirituality, is that, like, a lot of people don't know how to bridge the worlds. I don't think a lot of people know how to bridge the worlds. I don't know that I'm going to be joining anybody's church. I'm going to be very honest. I don't know. In-person church. I really don't know. Because I don't think I could handle, I don't want to have to lie about what I do professionally. And I genuinely don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I get there. I really will. This is where I am, guys. I love you. And we're going to see how this all works out for me. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching this video. It helps my watch hours, but also I just hope it encourages you in some way. Take care.